who's the person. It could also be who's the city, the state that I need to go to, right?
Yeah.
And so moving, when I think about that, all this stuff is principles, right? When I think about Abram, right? Before his name was Abraham, God said, hey, leave your father's house, right? And go to a new land. I will bless thee, curse those who curse thee, right? All that stuff. And what did Abram do? He said, I'm out. He took Sarah and his nephew, Lot, and they went south. They went through Egypt, right? Had a little situation with Pharaoh. And when you see it, it's crazy because when you see the timeline, I think it's Genesis chapter 12 where Abram leaves, right, and departs because God said, go to a new place. Then Genesis 13, I think the second verse, it makes the point to say, and Abram was very rich. Not only was he was very rich in cattle, silver, and gold. What's going on? We're glad to have you at another episode of Minding Your Biz podcast. Listen, everything that you hear or see on this podcast episode is for educational purposes only. We have not seen your books. We have not seen your specific situation. Make sure you please seek your financial advisor for anything pertaining to your situation. Peace. What's going on, y'all? It's another episode of Minding Your Biz. I'm one of your hosts, Dr. BlackWealth, and we have
Miss Fab Financial coming at you, the CEO of Tax Dragon Pros. Let's get at it.
Let's do it.
Mind your biz.
Another week in the hole.
Another week, right?
Cool. So what's going on with you?
Episode
This
8.
Is it? Yeah, 8.
8. Let's
Eight's
go.
a good number now. Infinity. It's a good number. Wealth number.
Yep.
Gold is mentioned in the Bible in Genesis 8 times.
All right now.
It's a good number.
I'm with it.
It's a good number. I love it.
I like the infinity. That's my thing. Number
Look
8.
at you.
That's my thing.
All right.
Yeah.
So what's going on with you, your world? What's happening?
Oh Lord, I'm still office shopping.
Okay.
Still, pressing through. I just feel like, it's a lot. So I haven't done this in a minute. So, and it's, getting ready for tax season. It's a lot of stuff going on, juggling hats, and I was sick last week. So it's a lot. But I do find that, now that I'm searching and I'm like, hey, let's move it, that my fire is not their emergency. So I'm like, they're not calling back. They're not doing this. They not this. They not that. And I'm like, it's my fire. It's not their emergency. They're like, we'll send it to you. It's coming. But I'm like, where's the sense of urgency to close out and get? So I don't know.
That's a good realization because oftentimes,
yeah, for sure,
your emergency is not nobody else's emergency.
No, but you're like, hey, I want you to be on it now, and so it's teaching me, a sit down and wait and plan and be, it's giving me different perspectives, learning lessons and things that I'm like, okay, moving forward, what do I need to do, right? Or it's just a lot of following up. It's a lot of following up in hats that I never really had to do. Like, okay, you keep knocking on the door to get the response you want.
For sure.
Whether it's in sales, business, or anything, if I want something, I have to keep driving at it.
Consistency, persistency.
Yeah.
No, I like that. That. That's good. So how's it getting ready for tax season?
It's a thing. So I know it's fun. It's the end of the year. It's what happens. The IRS is officially closed, so it allows us to kind of regroup, recalibrate, make sure that we're researching, studying, getting software forms and everything up to date, making sure the team and everybody is ready. Trying to figure out what's going on with this 1099 situation. It's like it's on, it's off. It's like playing double dutch.
For sure.
Oh, we doing it this year? We not doing it this year. We doing it? We not doing. Oh, it's another transition year. All right,
Right.
So it's this 1099K thing is probably the first on and off thing that the IRS has done, or in the federal government, that has said it was so and it's not implemented it.
It's like the second year they pulled it back.
Yeah.
But I think it's something going on. Like,
they've never done that before.
I think it's the ability to try to manage. They're trying to figure out how to manage it. I think, right? So it's hard to say so if you got Cash App, Venmo, Zelle, all this stuff, right? And you're doing business because the IRS is looking for money that they know most business owners have, but not reporting. But then it's almost like, how do you manage that? Because who set up their stuff for straight business, and who has the personal that they use for business, right? But we do see the platforms are being more, I guess, upfront about it. Like Cash App is sending statements every month, almost like bank statements. They're being treated more like a bank than anything. But
typically, right, it's like a roll out and wait and see, right? I think this, when they're being really
they probably don't have the manpower,
mindful and and seeing how it impacts the greater, because normally it's a collection agency, right? Sure. And it's like, hey, we're gonna roll this thing out. Anybody, small, large, or indifferent, if you receive $600 or more, you're gonna get this 1099-K, and you need to pay taxes on it, right? But they're being more courteous and mindful about how it impacts us, small business people, that the intentionality, which normally you don't get from the federal government, necessarily the IRS, on how is this going to hurt people that we're not intending to gather, right? Because there's a lot of people who do not report income because they don't fall in that threshold, right? So the current threshold is $20,000 and 200 transactions,
which is a lot.
So if you made 70 grand in 7 transactions, in 10 transactions,
you don't have to report it.
You're not going to get a 1099-K. Ooh-wee. Now, you are supposed to report it because you have to report all income now. But that means the IRS doesn't get notification that you made said income. So that's who they're trying to catch, right? They're trying to catch the people that fall in that bracket. So they lowered the threshold to 600, regardless of transactions, which, is a large net they're casting. But I'm like, that's very mindful and courteous of them. I appreciate it. I'm not complaining. I'm just going, the powers that be, you could tell when it's affecting people's money. They're like, no, let's wait.
For sure. But I think it has a lot to do with, it could be them being courteous. I just don't believe it, though. I believe it's got to be something as a delay with them. Something's going on with them to structurally set up to be able to.
I don't think they ever really think about setting up a lot. Look at everything that's rolled out since COVID.
For sure.
That didn't have a really good plan and intentionality on how it was going to be managed.
Right.
Even with ERC, energy, the new energy efficient credits, even that doesn't have really clear guidelines.
COVID deemed a different type of strategy because it was like a real-time issue. It was almost like emotional based. Like America had to act. We got to do something to stabilize the economy and the citizens of America at the same time. So it's like, boom, let me give out these stimulus packages, the PPP, to help businesses. Why was it driven toward business owners? Because they employ almost half of Americans.
No,
right?
I totally
run with that and align that up. You know what I mean? But this 1099-K thing, they've been sitting on this for a while. And the not implementing, knowing that they're probably hurting for money, and I'm not gonna say hurting for money, but looking for money to recoup.
And I get that they've drew back the enhanced child tax credit, the dependent care credit, fast.
Yeah.
Fast, no problem. Pull it back, and those credits help Americans, right? That helps a lot of Americans who needed assistance and aid during COVID. I got it. But most people now, it's a recession. Most people, have less than 30 months of savings and investing, right? It's so much happening that I feel like those credits would be more beneficial, as well as the 1099-K. Right. If you're trying to raise money, right? If you're like, hey, we're the collection agency, we gave out a lot of money through COVID. Right. We just gonna throw it out there and collect these coins.
Well, for now, we ain't gonna complain. Look, if you ain't meet the threshold of the 20,
I'm not complaining either. I'm just like,
listen, just File or don't listen. The IRS says that all income is reportable, so I ain't saying don't file no income. That's not what I'm saying. However, comma,
exclamation point, and question mark,
right,
dot.
It's, all the things, right? Like if you ain't reported, I ain't got it, right? So you take that up with your tax professional.
All income is reported. All income is supposed to be reported. They said all legal and illegal income, right? That's what the IRS said. So, no, for sure. But I'm in agreement with you. I'm just,
It is what it is.
Just giving an extra food for thought. But no, for sure. I think that there are people who use StubHub, who use Facebook Marketplace, Venmo, those types of things to transact on a smaller level who really shouldn't have to pay taxes on that money. Like if you're like, I got extra tickets to the game. Yeah. Oh, we didn't get a chance to go. Let's throw them on StubHub.
Or if you send somebody some money, just so that they working out those.
Or the little girl that's like, no, I am going to sell my old clothes. Yeah. Or I'm gonna do a lemonade stand. Yeah. And she made $2,000. Like y'all gonna make her pay taxes
for sure. Yeah, we gonna make.
Well, she is under the standard deduction.
For sure.
That's a different.
But no, I mean, so I don't know. I think about this week, yesterday, I guess last week, leaving, what was that, Thanksgiving? Yesterday was really heavy for me.
Yeah.
So,
what was going on with you? What's happening?
So, just dealing with death, right? So a lady that was close to me was is a mom, like a mom. She passed suddenly. Wow. And it was really like, I don't know. It was just really, I don't know. I'm still shocked. Like, I'm still.
Well, wait a minute, because I knew she was coma. She was in the hospital. Yeah. But I don't think you told me
so
she passed.
What ended up happening was, basically she had a massive stroke. I think it was from the cause between meds from her blood pressure medicine to COVID medicine, one of the two, but basically she had a massive stroke. And so it put her in a state where, they're going to be like, see that COVID medicine. It was blood in the brain. And then, she was kind of like on the machine to breathe. And then just over time, it was just like, if we recover her, she'll be a vegetable. Y'all can move her to a home or whatever. Oh, wow. Or what's going to happen. So, the kids, one of my sisters, she was like, we just prayed about it. And we asked, because she left 2 twins. She already lost all her sons. So a few years ago, we came and buried her youngest son. And then so the twins was like, we prayed, and, we was like, we can't make this decision. Like, Mom, tell us what you want us to do. Yeah. And so the next day or later that night, that early morning, she just ended up passing. And so it put me in a weird space, because that's exactly what happened to my granddad when he passed in 2018. He had a massive stroke, and I remember going to the hospital, and he couldn't talk. But I'm looking at him, and he's looking at me. At least for him, he was like consciously aware in some shape, form, or fashion. He was looking at me, I'm looking at him, and I feel like we having dialogue, but he couldn't speak. Wow. And it just put me in that same thing, because I felt like even that was something. And that was that, he was in his 80s, she was in her early 60s. And then yesterday was his birthday. The 28th was his birthday. So yesterday I was just trying to really just get through the day. Really just get through the day. And then, to bring it full circle, then I seen the news, not that I'm close to him or knew nothing about him, but admired the man, about Charlie Munger dying at 99, right? So, Charlie Munger was a co-chairman to Berkshire, best friend of Warren Buffett. So he's a real good pillar giant in the investor business owner community, right? In that space. And it speaks to the level of partnership, which we talked about last week, but it also just brings out the value of, finding the people that you need, right? Yeah. So as they explore Charlie's life, Charlie was a, war vet. He was a fan of Benjamin Franklin. And after the war, I think World War II, Because he was born in 1920, so 1924 or something.
Yeah,
like
that's a long life.
Right. He lived a long life. It's definitely nothing to be sad per se about, because he died at 99.
For sure.
Right? Old white man.
Like, I'm like 99 and you got hella money.
Full of life, right? He was his personal net worth was at $2 billion of his passing, right? So like it's a thing, but it's it's not nothing to be sad about. But just bringing into,
and I'm sure he had everything tied up, the insurance, all the estates,
because he was a lawyer
for sure.
He was a lawyer at by trade. He convinced somebody get him into Harvard, was a lawyer. Then he ended up meeting Buffett. Strange enough, they both was from the same town. But the reason why I like to go into their story is because as we transition into kind of like a leveraging people and who you need to help grow your business and everything that you need to do. Munger was that person for Buffett. Charlie was that person for Warren Buffett, right? Because Charlie had a mindset of like the Benjamin Graham investment world. So he was like, if we could take a company, and he called it like the cigarette butt company that got one good puff in them, right? We could take a really good company, really inexpensive, cheap, buy it up, right? And then we can build it up. We can make money. But then Charlie came along and was like, well, why? Basically, like that's pennies. Why would we do that when we could find a really good company and buy it at a fair price, right? So you might spend more money today, but over time you're gonna make more.
For sure.
And the first company they did that with was See's Candy, the chocolate company. Right. And so, Buffett was like, listen, Charlie is the person that changed my whole investment mindset and strategy for them to get into all this stuff. He was the person that led them into tech, and Buffett is, all investors, but Buffett specifically is like, listen, don't invest in stuff you don't understand and know. He's not a technology person, but he knew the numbers of Apple.
For sure. And his wealth, how he invested, shows you how safe and smart investing, because he wasn't a wealthy man starting off. You know what I mean? His wealth came later in life based on investments he made earlier, right, in his life, and how it, just shows you about success and business, that it's a long game. It's not a hurry up and go, right? It is consistency, and over time. Now, at the later part of his life, he's the wealthiest man, one of the top wealthiest people in the world, and in his lifetime. It wasn't like definitely at 20, 30, 40, respected based on investments and things he's done early on, based on the partnerships, the rooms he got in leveraging his friend.
For sure.
Leveraging his knowledge and changing his mindset on how we go about doing things. And I think when we just bringing it full circle again on what we're talking about, as I go and I invest in rooms, and I'm, have mentors and people around me who are successful, and I fail to ask the right questions, or I fail to utilize their skill set and their abilities in the best interest of me, I'm doing myself a disservice. And I'm not at times allowing God to use them when he may be intending them to be useful to me, right? So I think, sometimes we pray and ask God for a lot of stuff.
For sure.
Right? And then they're like, well, I'm putting people in your path and you're not taking advantage. You're not asking the right questions. You're not seeking the knowledge because for whatever reason you're too prideful, or you're embarrassed, or you're not utilizing the people I'm putting in front of you.
And some people just can't see.
For sure, because you think that the blessing's supposed to come this way, right? One way. And I'm talking about it from experience. I sat in rooms with people and not said a thing because I'm not really intentional about what I need to gather from them, right? I'm listening. I'm like, I'm excited. I'm, excited to be in the room. I want to break bread, but I'm not leveraging their knowledge in a way that I know that it can be beneficial to me. But moving forward, it's yes and thank you. That's my words. I am yes and thank you. Farah, do you need help? Yes and thank you. So how can I help you with, yup, it's this and that and thank you. I'm not.
like getting real clear. So what do you think? Like, so as we explore this topic, right? So basically, is leveraging the who, right? So asking the right question. The first question is who, not how.
Yeah.
That is also a book. There's no plug on the book, but it is a book. It's a good book, right? But who, not how is talking about who you could leverage to get you to the goals that you're looking to achieve, and not necessarily how me could do it and fulfill all this. But what's the thing you think keep people from asking at least that right question, or questions like what you're saying?
I think intentionality. I think your intentions, right, and not being clear, right? I think clarity is really important. Knowing where you are and where you're trying to get to and how you get there, right? And so, and being humble about the people and spaces you're in, and acknowledging your shortcomings, right? If I know I'm not great at sales, that's not my thing, and I know that I have people around me who are really good salespeople, so I probably need to ask the question of, hey, listen, I'm having an issue with conversion. Can you help me? Mm-hmm. And I think that we don't want to acknowledge where we fall short.
Right.
And then I think that, I mean, that was probably one of the biggest things that helped me turn the corner this year for myself, when I saw, hey, I have gaps in this and this. I'm struggling in this, right? And for me, it was some leadership. It was mindset. It was getting out of my own way a little bit, right? And so when I acknowledged that and I owned that, and I was like, okay, well, who do I need to sit in? What room do I need to get in to help me with that, right? When I wanted to build a closer relationship with God, I was like, okay, I acknowledge where my holes are, where my gaps are. Who can help me with that? And then when I identify the who, right, I need to ask the right questions. I need to be intentional about the things that I'm looking for. I just can't sit in there and be like a rock, right? I have to, now I'm in the room. Now I have to take some more steps, right? Just being in the room is not enough, right? You just don't, through osmosis, get what you need. You then have to, right? You still have to like participate.
Right.
You still have to be active.
So I can't just pray and then.
No, that's not how that works. You have to
like,
be
dear
intentional.
God.
You can do that too. You can say, dear God, because that helps you with the clarity, right? So I had to be humble before God and say, hey, I'm struggling in this area. Right? Open up my heart, open up my mind to receive, and bring me in the rooms where the people who can help me, and open my mouth so I can ask the questions necessary to get the answer I need. So, and so when you're thinking about, there's a lot of people do say, well, how do I know it's God? How do I know it's God? Right? How do I know when God is talking to me? Right? If I'm in a room with the person, how do I know that's God sent? Right? Because sometimes people ask that question. How do I know if that's not devil sent, right?
Devil real slick.
Okay. How do, and so I've asked myself those questions too, right? How do I know if this is the road I need to go down? And a lot of people say, and I can attest to that, is the voice of God because you've built a relationship with him, the same way you've built a relationship with your children. You know your children's cry. Right? If you're in a supermarket and your child is not with you and you hear a voice, mom, dad, as the parent, that maternal, paternal instinct that, wait, that's my child. Wait, God knows the same. And vice versa. If you build a relationship with your father, you know his voice. And so studying and sitting before him deepens your relationship. So then when an opportunity is presented or a person is before you, if it's God sent, because you've built that relationship and you know their spirit and their energy, that this is what God meant for me. This is the voice. This is the answer. And I think it allows you to have a certain discernment to ask the right questions to the person to give you the answer you need.
No, for sure. I like that.
I hope that.
No, I like that because you got me thinking like, so I know in this thing, like who not how covers a whole lot of stuff, right?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna start one way and probably transition into environment, but as I think about my own personal journey, I think it's really, really, even in the specific being clear about the questions to ask the right mentor.
Yeah.
Right. But then you got to look at God as the head mentor, the head person that's leading you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of us don't spend a lot of time getting really clear on who we are.
For sure.
To know who God is, to be clear on our assignment.
Mm-hmm.
Because then you can start praying specific prayers.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, God, send me the job or send me the wife or the spouse or the 100. It's like, it's really getting clear on it to the point where your prayers are clear, right? So when I think about that, I think about Solomon, one of my favorite people in the Bible, right? And when he was chosen to be king, he asked God specifically, basically, like, why me? I don't know from what I come in or go out, why choose me? He said, just give me, since you chose me, just give me the discernment to serve your people and pass judgment on your people. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so when you get clear in those things, I think then it's understanding people. The first thing we know about God is, based off Genesis, is that he's a creator. Mm-hmm. It says, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, right? One of the last things or people or things that he created was man. In that is a thing that says, hey, God, man's not meant to be alone, right? And he also created man. He said, let us create man like us in our image.
Yeah.
Right. So there was already an imagination or image of somebody of who he wanted to form man of. So when you think about that, how does that relate to who, not how? Well, I know that anything that I need that God will supply me will come through another person, because he created all of us.
Yeah.
In his image, which means all of us are what? Creators.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're good at a thing, mm-hmm. and I'm good at a thing, mm-hmm. and maybe I need your thing, mm-hmm. and maybe you might or might not need my thing. Mm-hmm. But either way it goes, either we're helping each other from service to service, or I'm paying you, giving you my money in exchange for the thing that I need, which is giving value to me. And so when I look at it from this year, I was really clear on that. I'm like, my business have made it to a certain point where we worked off referrals, mm-hmm. did really, really good, mm-hmm. really, really successful. Mm-hmm. But how do I feed this beast? Yeah. I need leads. So now I need to understand marketing. Yeah. Now I understand it, but then the question becomes, well, do I want to do it? Or do I really need to, do I find somebody who I can further understand this? Yeah. Right. And then that began my journey of coaching. I'm like, oh, I need to find somebody. Right. Because, I heard somebody told me before, I think it was my D. He was like, it's only two ways you're going to get something done. Mm-hmm. Either you're going to buckle down and do it yourself, or you're going to find somebody who could do it for you. Yeah. Right. And so that led me to my coach. And just like you said, that language of how do you know that's God? Well, for me, I'm very analytical. I get emotional, but not too much emotional. Right. So I know God communicates to me via like signs and mm-hmm. messages and confirmation, because mm-hmm. I always need to check the checker. Right. So when I'm sitting in rooms, right, go to a conference and I'm like, is this the coach for me? I hire somebody. I was like, I don't know what it is. She just not it. Yeah. And it was nothing on her. It just was I didn't get the feeling.
No, for sure.
You know what I mean? I didn't get the feeling. Then I sit with, and I ended up going to Marcus's conference. And Marcus did the whole thing. I'm like, oh, man, I like what he doing. I like how he teaching. I pitched an offer. Yeah. And I was like, no, it still ain't for me. Like, I like the offer. It's looking really good. I feel like it could help. Yeah. I'm just not really feeling it. Yeah. But then in that moment, God sent another girl to me that was in the same room. Mm-hmm. And I had already shared like a little bit of my story. And she was like, are you going to do the offer? This is the confirmation. So are you going to do the offer? I was like, I don't think so. I don't know. I'm not really feeling it. She was like, what? She was like, this is exactly what you need. We were just talking about just briefly, mm-hmm. talking about your story. Mm-hmm. This is what you need to get you to your goal that you're trying to get and to build up your business the way you want to build it up. And led me into the room. I said, So I had a choice. Either I could have ignored that, right? Mm-hmm. Or I could have followed what God was sending me. Somebody to say, hey, this this is exactly what you need. So I said, and that's what made me sign up. But then, we were aligned, right? Him and I spiritually aligned, right? As you look for somebody who could really lead you, especially man to man,
for
right?
Sure.
And so that who, not how, I mean, it's just really, and it has did so much value to my business that I can't even count the money I'm paying them off of how I'm being built.
Yeah, I agree 100, like 1,000%. As a seasoned business owner, once you figured out a formula, you're like, yep, I can make money. I got a product. I can communicate. I'm fine. I got that part, right? I'm past the new stage situation, right?
Like, this is what I want to do.
This is
I ain't bouncing around.
This is it, right? The business goes through different cycles, right? And so making and hitting the $1 million mark, I literally was doing this a couple days ago, and hitting $1 million plus through the business, and now we're in a different cycle where we're making less, right? We had loss of clients, we had staff turnover, the business is changing. Right. It is turning, right? And so when you look back and go, okay, what did I do to get here, right? Or I'm at a different plateau, you have to be honest about it, right? And then you also have to seek, right, the wisdom and the people to help you get it together, right, to scale and go back. And so as business owners who are in different cycles of their business journey, the who, not how, who can help me and how can they do that is so pivotal and so important to help your business journey, to help you in your business journey. Because once you make money, right, there is a different animal out there on how you grow it, maintain it, invest it, and save it, and build upon it, right? And so that you're not a one-trick pony, right? And so as we saw through COVID, there are a lot of people who started and that are not here, right? COVID aside, right, there's things that happen in businesses that cause turnover, that cause things to happen and change, right? The SWOT analysis is a real thing. There's a threat and there's weaknesses in your businesses that you have to plug so that you can live another day and be around. So I think when you talk about mentorship, coaching, and people like, oh, that's a scam, it's not real, then you can tell the mindset of that person, right, who is not really into growing and evolving in their business space because you don't know everything. And so as your business hits these different cycles and plateaus, you need to reach out to people that'll help you. I think that, just in general in my business, I was there the top of the year this time last year looking and seeking for the person to help me. And I was like sat in one room like, no, this not it.
His answer's gonna always come.
This is not it. I feel it, but that's not. There's a lot of new business owners.
Right.
I was like, they can't
get with me.
They not.
That ain't on my level.
No, they can't. They can't get with this smoke. They can't help me here. You know what I mean? It's different when you've reached a certain level of success. Yeah. That new business owners don't have the same mindset and don't understand it. And you can't help me if you're a new business coach. Yeah. No diss, no shade to whatever you're doing.
For sure.
But from what I needed and what I was looking for, you couldn't help me. I needed a different type of fusion, a different type of patching up and closing that involved more spiritual, more strategic, more community. I needed something else besides. So I had to seek and find that thing. And so I think that as a business owner who has reached a certain level, you got to seek it. You got to find it, and you got to find the who and the how. You got to find who it is and how we going to get there.
Right, and not how you're going to do it, right? And I think it's just principles. Too. It's living your life off principles. Like, literally, whatever you're looking for is also looking for you. Yeah. So how you actively seeking it, right? God's going to send a person to you that you need, right? So it's like, boom, I might try this, or I might try the business for a while. I might try this service for a while. And then after a while, I figured out, well, this is not working, or this person's not for me. It doesn't make them scam me or nothing, right? And I think most people who come across that, I'm a firm believer of the principle, what you're looking for is also looking for you. You find people
And also what you attract.
That's what I'm saying.
So if you get the scam,
scammy people, before you point the finger at them,
you
need to point the finger at yourself.
Yeah.
How scammy am I?
Yeah.
Because how am I attracting these people?
And I always say, you can't be what you despise, what you oppose, right? If I want to be, if I want good clients, I need to be a good customer.
Yeah. For sure.
If I want to be a good leader, I need to be a good follower, right? And if
you want sales, you need to be a good buyer.
That's right. That's right. And I think that the energy and the frequency and the seeds you sow, we talked about this probably episode 1, right? Where energy.
The law of sowing and
listen. So I think that if you're seeking people and you feel disgruntled or someone scammed you, then that may be the energy you put out, or that may be kind of the steps that you took prior that you're receiving that. And I think self-assessing and accountability, we come back to that a lot.
Yeah.
We come back to that a lot. Those principles.
Got to study yourself.
Accountable and assessing yourself.
And listening to God, because the who also might not be who's the person. Yeah. It could also be who's the city, the state that I need to go to, right? Yeah. And so moving, when I think about that, all this stuff is principles, right? When I think about Abram, right? Before his name was Abraham, God said, hey, leave your father's house, right? And go to a new land. I will bless thee, curse those who curse thee, right? All that stuff. And what did Abram do? He said, I'm out. He took Sarah and his nephew, Lot, and they went south. They went through Egypt, right? Had a little situation with Pharaoh. And when you see it, it's crazy because when you see the timeline, I think it's Genesis chapter 12 where Abram leaves, right, and departs because God said, go to a new place. Then Genesis 13, I think the second verse, it makes the point to say, and Abram was very rich. Not only was he rich, he was very rich in cattle, silver, and gold. Mm-hmm. So when you look at that, I'm like, well, from the journey from 12 to 13, he was traveling. Mm-hmm. On his way, God was already blessing him. From the moment he took up and made the decision.
So you got to get active.
He made the decision to leave, and he left. He took his wife and his nephew came. They was going through cities, battling through cities, and then he said he was very rich. Mm-hmm. Don't miss that part. In cattle, silver, and gold, right? And so your opportunity, your wealth, your claim to fame could be from a simple move. Mm-hmm. And I'm speaking from experience. Mm-hmm. We was in Colorado Springs for over 10 plus years. Mm-hmm. The moment we left and got into a new environment around new people, right? Well, I was received by my own, just like Abram, my own aunt, uncle, the nephew, right? Things started to change for me. I ain't very rich yet.
Not yet. Let's put that out there. Not yet.
Right? But we rich, right? In all the stretch of the imagination. So that change, that who could be the next city. Yeah. Like, don't be afraid to just make that move. You got to do what you got to do for you. And what God's telling you to do for his people.
Like, put the exclamation point on top of that. I mean, I'm originally from Philadelphia and moved here and saw a different mindset, prosperity in my life that I wasn't having when I was living in Philadelphia, right? Because, and I think when you move to, it creates a different beast in you, right? Yeah. When you leave back the things that are familiar, right? Good, bad, or indifferent, and you come to a new place and you come to a new city, you're proving yourself a few things, right? You're like, hey, can I really do this thing? I don't have the old baggage and knowledge and things that's holding me back. And I don't have the comfortability of kind of resting on my laurels because I got to make something shake here. Right. I don't have I don't have like a security blanket here, right? And I think that's one of the reasons why Atlanta has like that melting pot of helping people, because so many people are not from here. Yeah. And we all remember how it was when we came. Most of us came with nothing. So when you talk to someone that says, hey, I just moved here or I just came here, you want to help because someone helped you, right? So I think that's the energy that's here in Atlanta with the entrepreneur space. And they're like, oh my God, it's something happening in Atlanta, because I remember when I came, and whether it's entrepreneur, whether it's just because we all come here for what? Something different. We all come for prosperity. We all come for something. We want to better life. We want something different. And so we all can connect and relate to that, whether it's I want a better job, I want, to find me, I want to start my business. You just know you want something different. So you try to shed that old skin and come out with the new skin and be a new person. I think is absolutely nothing wrong with that. And I agree with that 110%. The who could be a place. Could be a place. Could be definitely a place and not a person.
For sure.
So, for sure.
Like we have to, the problem is, or the thing is we have to shed old mindsets, old philosophies to develop new, right? Everything that you are comes from a place, and you really have to explore that, right? And I do it all the time. I come from a place and say, man, why do I do this, right? And then I have to understand, like, oh, well, my dad was like this. Oh, my mom did this. Oh, her mom did this. His mom and dad did that. So what can I do to be different? And how, you know what I'm saying? So I had to explore that to figure out new philosophies on life.
New environments.
New
mindsets. Absolutely.
Right? Because we're going into new territory. Yeah. And you think about the times, all the Southern people, especially Black people, we left the South to migrate north. And then what's happening? A lot of us is migrating back south. Yeah. Right? And so there's a change of environment. There's a change in space. There's a change in place. Like if you are ready to go to that next level, the first thing I would ask myself is who, and really not how. Yeah. Like who get clear with your assignment with God so you can understand the assignment that you're supposed to do. You could be like Solomon and yield yourself to that understanding. Have rulership on that.
That's right.
Then once you get that clarity, he's going to send you the who. Who's the person I need? Who's the person, the preparer I need to help me in my tax business? The marketing person I need to grow my business, right? The person who's going to help me with my finances in my business. And in today's age, everything is based off the creators. The real money people and the plugs is everybody behind the camera. Whoever's
that's right.
The camera, those are the money people, right? So who can help me get my message out?
Yes.
Right?
Shout out to David.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, y'all, listen. So, I ain't mean to put that in there.
They make it happen up here because that's the who, because this is not what we do. That's
not who, not the how, right? All we knew, what we came with and said, God said we got to speak to the masses of the people. Yeah. And the only thing I could think of and to remember, going back to Solomon, was Solomon had 3,000 proverbs and 1,005 songs. Yeah. I said, how can we get out there to do that? His rulership was heard in all the nations around him. So that means that in order for us to grow our business, in order for us to reach his people, we got to reach the masses of the people. So we said who, partnership, and said we can come together and create Mind Your Business.
That's right.
And then who is going to help us get this message out there so we can help business owners grow their business, right? And we found all the who's through God's people.
That's right.
Right? So we have to shed that stuff. We got to, if you're ready for a change, and you will know it. When you ready, when you tired of being tired, turn to God. Find your assignment and find the who and not the how. That's right. I don't know how else to make it more plain and clear, right?
That's done.
That's a wrap. Listen, so we hope you got some value out of this. This is another episode of Minding Your Biz, where we focus on the who to help leverage you, to help grow you, to help expand you. Please, if you liked it, we want to make sure that you like, share, and subscribe to help grow our channel so we can reach all of our who's. We could talk to all the people we need to talk to. We could reach everybody that we need to reach. And we'll see y'all again on another episode.
That's right. What he said.
Peace. Ain't left fourth quarter strategies we could put together to get you to be the Kobe or Jordan of your business. We got you. So if you need some of those consultation calls, make sure that you reach us in the comment section where we'll have all our links to get into one of our firms.